everyone, Dave here, welcoming you back to another video. First off, I want to quickly shout out Shirrako on YouTube. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And I also hope it's okay that I'm borrowing your footage for this review. Everyone, go subscribe to them. They have 2.1 million subscribers, so I don't know how much traction I'm going to bring them, but I appreciate borrowing their footage. Anyway, I want to talk about Granblue Fantasy Relink. This isn't really a review. You maybe could consider it impressions, but I just want to talk about this game because it, spoiler alert, is probably one of my favorite games I've played ever, if not at least in recent memory. I really love this game so much. I could not put it down. I got it the day after it came out, which was a Saturday, and I played it all weekend, and I finished the story mode the next day, which for me is a big deal, and I guess that's where a good jumping off point. The game's story mode is could run you maybe 10 to 15 hours, depending on how slow you take everything. Which for an RPG, especially a JRPG, is definitely on the lower side. Some people may be turned off by its length, but trust me, there is a lot to do in this game. The story mode is just a fraction of it, so don't let that deter you. And it's a very great story mode. I mean, for someone like me, I have a hard time finishing games these days. One, just because I don't often have the time that I used to have to put 10, 20, or, well, I guess 10 and 20 is fine, but like 50, 100 hours into a game, or at the very least, like, it takes a while to get around to putting that amount of time into a game. So some of these, huge RPGs I really want to play and see the end of, but it takes a while to get there, if ever. And also, I have a bad habit of burning myself out on games. I play a certain game way too much, and then I don't want to play it anymore. I don't know if any of y'all can relate to that, but so I think just as this game was starting to get a little like, okay, let's wrap up the story, it ended, which for me was good. But it is kind of ironic that the one game that I didn't want to end ended. It kind of wrapped itself up in a nice way. The game's story is really good. These characters are great. One thing that's always drawn me to Granblue Fantasy is its art style and its characters. I watched the first season of the Granblue Fantasy anime, and I played Granblue Fantasy Versus prior to this, so I wouldn't consider myself an expert, but I'm definitely someone who really enjoys this world. For those who don't know anything about Granblue, the best way to summarize it is it's pretty much One Piece, but instead of exploring the sea, they're exploring the skies. That's kind of a good way of summarizing it. Obviously, there's a lot more to it, but this series has some of the best characters that I've seen in a while. They're really well animated, really well drawn, really well written. There's a lot of really fun characters here. Some great top-tier waifus and husbandos for those who are looking for that sort of thing. But there's a lot of fun here. These characters are great. And the story in particular was one reason I couldn't put it down. The gameplay itself is great, and I wanted to keep playing it, but I didn't skip any cutscenes, which is something that I do, especially in JRPGs. If it's a story that I'm either not super into, or it's okay, I get the gist, I don't need all the extra little this, that, I don't need all the extra little details and the tit for tat and everything. But if it's something that like this that I really can sink my teeth into, I didn't skip a single cutscene in this game, which is, again, for me, that's a big deal. That's a pretty high compliment. The game's story is great, and I think a lot of people looking for just a, sort of quick, nice, compact RPG that they can really get into and finish and see the story and kind of have it wrap up nicely. I think we'll really find something great here in Granblue Fantasy Relink. And then on the gameplay side, it's a lot of fun. It's super addicting. Trying out every character. There are I want to say like at least 11, if not more, characters in this game. We've got 2 more on the way. I don't know if it's the only 2 that we're getting, but there are another 2 on the way, and every character feels different. Like just trying out every character is gonna take you some time too, because you're gonna want to see how these characters play. You're gonna want to see, their special, like for example, like Gran has like this arts meter that goes up, when he attacks, and that helps, buff his skills. Rosetta, I think her name is. I'm not good with names. Sorry about that. But Rosetta has like this pedal meter, and she. Sorry, Nermaya's the one with the pedal meter. Rosa has like these roses that she plants across the battlefield, and basically what I'm trying to say in a really bad way is every character feels really different, and that's gonna take, that alone will give you a lot of mileage out of this game. It's just trying out all these characters, because you're gonna want to, because they're all great. And finding a build and a team that works for you. The builds for characters are good. Like, you can definitely build a character in a certain way, whether it's, with weapons, sigils, and, picking specific, skills in the tree. But every character's skill tree is pretty vast, but it's pretty linear. Like, eventually, like, you're gonna have, a similar... I guess, like, if you're like me, and I basically just went through and just tried to complete the skill tree, like, eventually you're gonna have a very similar character to someone else's in that regard, but it comes down to how you play, how you use certain characters, what sigils you put on them. That's really gonna change your build, and I think that's where not only the characters being different comes into play, but, like, you as a player, can make your character different than somebody else's, which I think is really cool, and it's a deceptively deep system. So I think you're going to get a lot of mileage out of these characters, both from a story perspective and a gameplay perspective. What else? We went over the story. The story is really fun. It's short, but it's like very concise. It wraps up in a decent way. Like, it wraps up nicely, but it leaves out room for interpretation. It was a game that, when it ended, I was sad that it was over, which is not something I get out of games. Like, again, I have a hard time finishing games. Whenever I do, I'm usually like, okay, that was fun, but I'm glad that we wrapped it up. The last game that I was sad that it was over was probably Marvel Spider-Man 2, which is like one of my favorite games ever. So Granblue Fantasy is in high company, with me being impressed by its story. The gameplay is very much... This game gives a lot of Kingdom Hearts vibes as well. If you're a Kingdom Hearts fan, I think you'd find a lot to like out of this game. Hell, the main menu opens with a very minimalist background, very kind of watercolory, with a nice little piano ballad, and even when you click on start game, it gives a little like twing, like a little chime rather, just like Kingdom Hearts does. Hell, both Zora and Gran both have a downswing attack that's into their main combo. Like, it very much feels a lot like a Kingdom Hearts type experience, which is not at all a bad thing. Obviously, we know how good Kingdom Hearts is. And then another game that Granblue Fantasy takes a lot of inspiration from is Monster Hunter. And I mentioned earlier how, yeah, the story mode may be on the shorter side, but you can get, like, I've seen a lot of people say, yeah, the story mode's 11 hours, but I wound up playing this game for over 100. Because the quest mode is some of the most fun and addicting stuff I've played in a while. It's very much Monster Hunter in the sense of having a central hub, going up to a quest counter. You have similar quests as in a Monster Hunter game. Some of them are exploration quests, some of them are just find a boss and kill it quests. And you then, check off your quest list much like you would in a Monster Hunter game, and that helps you get new materials to unlock, new sigils and new crew members and new weapons. It's not as deep in that regard as a Monster Hunter game is. I kind of do wish there were some more weapons. I wish there was some more, I wish you could customize, your armor pieces in that regard. So I do wish that was a little more deep. That would help differentiate characters even more, more than they already are. And I think that would be an extra layer that would be a lot of fun. But for the most part, the quest mode is just addicting because the gameplay is so fun. I mean, it's very snappy, using your skills in tandem with all your other party members, linking attacks together is addicting. And, finding the right build and the right mix of characters that works well for you is such a cool thing. And it's such an addicting part of this game is just finding what works, and it's a fun combat in this game is a fun puzzle almost of the game isn't abstractly super difficult. I mean, I guess if you play on the super hard mode and then you go to the super hard quests in the end game, there definitely are some bosses that'll really kick your ass. But for the most part, there's nothing in this game where I'm outright, this is way too difficult, this is hard. But it's finding your combination of skills and party members that will help your party and your play style kind of function like a well-oiled machine. Which is just super addicting and super fun. You've also got fate episodes where you they're I don't want to say lackluster, but they're not really anything crazy deep. They're just little kind of text that kind of gives a little background and a little flavor to some of these characters. So if you want to learn a little bit more about Narmaya or Gran or Rackham, or really, every character has fate episodes. So you do a little text thing where the character reads out what's going on, and then you'll do a mission here or there, and unlock a sigil slot or something. So it's definitely worth doing, because even the stuff where you just kind of read gives your character a power boost. And that's kind of, once your character hits that max level, I think the max level is 100, I haven't even gotten there yet, then you can even go further with your character's power level. It's much oh gosh, what's the game I'm thinking of? Like a Diablo. Obviously it's not like Diablo, but it's similar in the regard of, once you hit max level, that's not really max level. How in Diablo there's Paragon after that. It's sort of similar, at least in that line of thinking, where you hit max level and then you can continue to increase and buff your weapons and your sigils and everything to go from there and increase your power level. And that's gonna be how you really do some of these late game, end game stuff, which is cool. Again, I haven't even gotten there yet, and I'm excited to continue. This is one game that I really wish had more story, and I do wish we get more, but this game has so much to it that as long as you're a fan of the gameplay, you can put hundreds of hours into this game. Which I'm excited to do, which is something that I normally don't do. Again, I'm very much a guy who plays a game for a long amount of time and either gets burnt out or eventually finishes it. But I'm a guy who likes to kind of move on. I don't want to play the same thing forever. That's why there are only a handful of games that I continuously play. There are only a handful of games, like live servicey type games, that I play, and they have good gameplay. Like, for example, I'm a big Destiny guy because the gameplay in Destiny is really solid. And in this game, I'm not at all saying that Granblue Fantasy Relink is a live service game by any stretch of the imagination. It's actually such a great value because all of this is in the game. All of this is the one-time purchase, and you get such a vast, like crazy packed game. Like the campaign, yes, it's short, it's very linear, but you have so much that you can do when you're done. So many quests, so many characters to play as, to max out, to level up. It's extremely fun and addicting. This is legitimately one of the finest games I've played in a long time. It might honestly be one of my favorite games ever as of right now. I still think Marvel's Spider-Man is still my favorite game of all time. But this game, I gotta say, is, as of right now, at least in the top 10. If not, at least top 15. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to talk about. This was very off the cuff. I'm just kind of going off of my memory. I didn't write anything down, which I'm sure you could tell. I just wanted to talk about how much I enjoy this game. Again, characters are great. Some of my favorite characters in any sort of anime or anime game. The story's fun, really intriguing. It's a pretty basic story, but like it's told in a very good way. You know what I mean? Like, again, it's something I didn't skip over any cutscenes. I didn't, mash my way through dialogue because I genuinely wanted to know what these characters had to say. Which is definitely something that not every JRPG can do for me. It was a game that I was sad that it was over. I was happy that I experienced it, but I was sad it was over because I wanted more, which again is not something that a lot of games can get from me these days either. So yeah, if you're a fan of just anime in general, you're gonna like this. Obviously, if you're a fan of Granblue Fantasy, you probably already have and 100% completed this game. If you're a fan of Monster Hunter, you're gonna find some at least in the quest mode, like you're gonna find stuff here that you can relate to. If you're a fan of Kingdom Hearts, the gameplay is really gonna sit with you, and the story is not as confusing, not nearly as confusing as Kingdom Hearts. So if you want a less confusing Kingdom Hearts, give Granblue Fantasy a try. The environments are fun. I didn't even talk about the environments. You have like a wood level, an ice level, desert level. Like, again, the thing that this game does so well in its story, in the environments, in the combat, in everything, is it's all pretty basic, or at least it's all things that we've seen before. I'm able to compare this to a lot of other games because other things have done this before, but in my opinion, this game does it the best. Maybe not the best, but like it does it really well. Like, it takes all of these elements that aren't exactly groundbreaking and aren't exactly, new, but it does it in such a good, well-made, well-rounded, just it does it in such a great way. So yeah, I mean, again, this wasn't really a review, but Granblue Fantasy Relink is a masterpiece in storytelling, in JRPG, action RPG, in everything. It's just phenomenal. It's such a great game. I love it so much. I'm so happy I played it, and I'm gonna continue to play it, and continue to sing its praises to anyone who will listen. So I hope you guys really do consider this. If you did, please let me know. I would love to be the person that turned you on to this game, or potentially the series as a whole. If you guys want any more Granblue Fantasy Relink videos, I will be more than happy to do it. Any like build guides, tips and tricks, news. I'm not very well versed in the news cycle, but it's definitely a game that I am interested in researching more of, you know, to see when DLCs come in, things like that. If we are getting DLC, for example, which is kind of a bummer because I did read an article that said that this game isn't going to be supported for a huge long time afterwards, which in a way is something cool because it's like, okay, this is a nice one-off kind of compact game, but also I want more of it. So if that means, you know, then they get on to making a sequel even quicker, then I'll consider that a win. But I don't know, we'll see. But anyway, play this game, it's amazing, I love it so much. If you guys want any more Granblue fantasy Relink content, let me know in the comments below. I'll get to thinking on what else I can cover and anything like that. So I hope you guys enjoy. Let me know what you think of the video down below. Like, comment, subscribe. Again, thank you to Shirrako. I borrowed your gameplay. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks, everyone. Bye.